Greetings, Warlords. Rodge here. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the Skirmish Miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. I'm your host, Rodge, joined by Monty for another monthly episode. How's it going, buddy?
It's going great, Raj. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good. Drowning in models over here. I'm on a modeling binge right now, and let's jump to it. So these monthly ones, we tackle a few different topics here. The main topic for this episode is going to be how much does it cost to play Saga? So I got this idea. We haven't had a full episode devoted to this. I think we've kind of danced around this idea before. I don't know. Do you remember anything?
We've done a lot about starting Saga, what you need. I don't know if we've gone to like this kind of depth, so I
Yeah,
think it's
so
a
we're
good
going to
topic.
dive into a little more detail than we usually would. And so this is going to be kind of a beginner episode, but we're going to touch on a lot of different topics. And the idea was inspired by the release of Warhammer 40K 10th edition and looking at some of those prices. Got me grateful for my own hobby situation. So let's get cracking here. So, what am I trying to open up here? Pick folder number 2. Okay. So the Warband Building Challenge has started for the Saga Thursday patrons. So this will probably be the last time I announce it. So there's still going to be time to get in. We're just 1 month down. If you want to jump in, we're doing 1 point per month. I am doing a Mu Tatawia Force, Monty, 3D
Nice,
printed, and
nice.
there's been some sagas getting these models. No pun intended, but I finally have some. Thanks to Terry Donor down in Chicago hooking me up. But
Good man.
yeah, I've got them coming from a few different sources here, so it'll be interesting to compare the printing on these various ones if there's a difference or not between them. So this is my first foray into using 3D printed models. Monty, you are also participating. Is that correct?
Yes, although I have to do a small reset right here at the start line.
No,
I
you're just gonna do one warband per month,
for one, I
is it?
think that might be it because I finished the Shield Maiden, so that was too quick. I was supposed to space them out, just like I was at a buffet instead of just having a small plate. I
we're
just
doing
wolfed it all
we're
down.
doing tidbits, Monty. Tidbits.
Right.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm glad to hear. It inspired you to start something, and you went ahead and finished it. So I think that's cool. And if you want to just bow out at this point, that's fine. But if you want to find something else, I'm sure we're recording this a little early, so there would be still time for you to start something new.
Yeah,
Pull something out of that bits box of yours.
I can.
Maybe our discussion today about the cost. We'll get some juices flowing, but
Oh,
yeah, it's been a blast so far, and let's move on to that main topic then. As we discussed, how much does that darn game of Saga cost to play?
right.
So, um, a couple things go into this. So one, we've got the books that you need, the rule book. So unfortunately, Saga is a game where you have to pay money for the rules. Money, why is that?
Well, because it's a small, really one-man shop, and he doesn't sell miniatures, so the rule books are the only income for his efforts.
Correct. So the rule books and selling thereof are the only way they can cover their costs at Studio Tomahawk. They're a design company, not a miniature company. So um, the books are just physical as well. You could see, they sell PDF rules and such, but currently there's none of that available for the game of Saga. And you could see maybe the rule books, book of battle or something, but you need the battle boards to play the game. So, one, I would say, yes, you need a rule book. What do you think about that? Is that controversial, Monty?
No, not at all. That's step one, square one, rule book.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're a veteran, after a while, I would say you actually very rarely refer to it. But I think when you're starting, obviously, you're going to need that rule book. The second, the 2.5 edition, whatever you want to call it, came out. Bonnie, do you know how much that costs offhand? I did a lot of research, but it wasn't into the
Man,
rule
I've
books.
ordered it not too long. It's not hardback, so I think it's like
Yep, I
$25, $30.
think it's 25, $30.
Yeah.
And the Book of Battles is similarly priced.
Hmm.
And so that book has all your scenarios and everything in it. And for this one, I think as long as somebody in the group has it, or just one copy for every 2 or 3 guys could be enough. Because if you're all getting together every week, you can all reference those scenarios, and so it could be something you would purchase later. So I'm gonna put that down as kind of optional, or $25 or 10, $15 if you're in a group or something like that. You do need the age books.
Yep.
Now this is going to be the main cost for the rule book, and depending how much of a saga fiend you are, it could actually be the biggest cost of playing saga is the rules, which I guess that is close to the 40K model almost. Got to get you buying those rule books. So the universe books, you need those to play, obviously, with the battle boards and the additional rules for the individual factions. So I believe last time I checked, those were $45
Yep.
thereabouts. I wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised if they go up to 50 sometime soon. So if you guys just play Age of Vikings and get the rule book, that's $75. And so we're kind of doing the full prices here. Obviously you could probably find those discounted somewhere or secondhand. And I guess if you are a saga hound and you get every universe as it comes out, that's $45. So 40, 90, 135, 270. I think there's 6 universes out. Age of Magic, Invasions, Vikings, Crusades, and 2 antiquity books is 6. So if you wanted to go whole hog at once, you wouldn't really wouldn't be wise to do that. I don't think for a beginner. Monty,
I kind of agree, only because each of these books that you get, when you lay those boards out in front of you, they're kind of a puzzle. And there's a little bit of a learning curve to kind of figure out, like, what is this board trying to do and how do I play it? And so, like, if you were to buy all the books, and you certainly can if you want to, but I mean, unless you're retired or you have an amazing schedule with an ability to get out, I think that much might overwhelm you. So maybe start with what you like, and maybe pick something your buddy likes, and 2 books would be a lot.
You definitely want to confer with your group and probably just start with one single age. I mean, that'd be over $300 if you bought all the books at once, so that's a pretty big commitment into something if you're a newbie. I mean, obviously, people watch these Thursday videos and they're, super, super motivated and intrigued, and, they get in that way. But still, even, just get one book and then expand as your group sees fit. So I'm going to put the starting book cost at $75 thereabouts. You could see potentially getting a second one, maybe Age of Magic and a historical or something like that, and then the Book of Battles. So between $75 and $150 for the books. I should have researched the 40. I don't want to slam 40K, but it would be interesting to know the actual prices on that stuff in comparison. But yeah, they do charge quite a bit for their rules, but other companies don't. So I play Infinity by Corvus Belli, and the rules are free there, along with some apps. But they make money on their models, which is key. Monty, do you need, besides the model, we'll get into the armies and the models, and we got the books. Is there anything else that you need that would have like a cost to it?
Right. There's a small amount of gaming items that are appropriate. So one would be dice. If you're a gamer, you probably have dice handy.
So yeah, we're not gonna count that.
Right.
Those
Okay,
are
okay.
your D6s.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll need those.
Yep.
What else do you need for the game of Saga?
So you can buy the Saga dice. Those are the dice that you roll and place on your board, but you can also print labels and put them on, basically agnostic dice. Make your own, 3D print them. So you could pick up a set of dice for probably 15 to 20, or you could come up with alternative solutions. You could even use D6s as your Saga dice if money was an issue.
Sure. Yeah. You can start just using the D6s. 1, 2, 3 common, 4, 5 uncommon, rare 6. I think especially if you're newbies, that can be a little tough, and like you have to like translate the dice
Right.
to the board, and then it's like an extra layer of mental energy to get that done. So I would recommend picking up the dice like you say. So at this point, you kind of need to know your faction, or have narrowed it down to a few in order to have those corresponding dice. Now, if you look way back in the Thursday archives, there is a video about all the different kinds of solutions for Saga dice. You can buy them. You can make them from blank dice and glue little pieces of paper on. That's how I did a couple of my sets. You can, if you have wood dice and somebody with a laser engraver, I don't know why so many people have those, but they seem to be pretty prevalent, and one in each area. You can have them burn the symbols into wooden cubes. More prevalent now, so this came out after the video, is 3D printing. So you can find all the dice and print them out with a little bit of searching. So I don't have links for any of that, but I have seen tons of Saga dice printed out. So that might be the best bet, actually, if you're going for a cheaper route. There's, as many laser engravers out there. There's 10 times as many 3D printers out there, or 100, probably 1,000 times as many, really. And I'm getting enticed more and more each day, Monty.
Yep. That's a whole nother hobby.
We're getting close to Rodge printer time, but not quite yet. We're holding the line for now. So the Saga dice, yes. I would probably say the first ones, buy them $20. So we're up to $95. And beyond that, we've got the fatigue tokens are required, but you can use old buttons, corn chips, jelly beans. What else? What have you seen, Monty?
Well, so I had a game, Pandemic, but it was the storytelling mode. So once you play it all the way through, I mean, it's great, but it's also kind of terrible. The game is now like you can't play it again because it's unique. And so I had all the little bits from Pandemic, and they're colored blocks. I was like, these are perfect. So I have the red ones. They could be used too.
Yeah, so any miscellaneous token, people use different different. I've used little tokens. Right now, I've kind of moved on to just the little red glass beads. They do sell at Gripping Beasts, kind of a fatigue token set that goes with the sticks, which we'll get to in just a second. And I don't, just use whatever you want. Some people use shields, like I said. I wouldn't associate any cost with those tokens there. The sticks, Monty, where do people get the sticks?
So a number of places. I think if you did a search, you could find it. There was some MFD makers even in Minnesota, who used to provide the sticks. I think you can get those through Gripping Beast, but they're out there. The people who are in the space creating MFD type products, especially like your tokens, probably also have Move It sticks. And if you don't have those, you know, measuring sticks, as strange as that sounds, there is a market out there, and the measuring sticks are in inches, and you can buy them in a variety of forms and formats. I have some that are like 1 inch colored tubes that screw together, so you make a 2 inch measure, a 6 inch, a 12, whatever it is. But that's kind of high end. That's fancy. No one has to get that to start, you know, right as they do the game. Simple MFD sticks or really tape measure would work.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna assign a cost to this because I think you can use a tape measure, and then people do even at
Yep.
events use a
Yep.
tape measure. So if you like the game, you can build some sticks. Like you say, going on Etsy, you can find sticks on there. I'm assuming 3D printing has to be an option as well for those sticks. Although it's probably that long one's probably bigger than most what most printers can kick out on a single plate. So maybe not there, but if you wanted to, I think you could purchase them for 15 or $20. But a tape measure could suffice as well.
Yep.
So if we assign a zero there, you're at about 95 up to 175 range, depending on how many books you picked up and if you purchased your Saga dice or not. Um, all right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of our presentation.
Yep.
The cost of the armies themselves. And this is where, we had a little overhead with our paper and little bits and bobs that maybe other games don't have, although most games now are just loaded with tokens. You're
Right.
required to get starter sets and stuff to have everything that you need. So I
Yep.
don't think that's really atrocious. I think it's pretty simple.
Agreed.
So we've gone through and kind of prepared a few example armies and their costs using a variety of methods. And first up is just your plain old Viking army using either Gripping Beast plastics or the Victrix Viking bag. So you can put together so we're thinking about 6 point armies I think just primarily historical. The magic side, you can use whatever the heck models you can scrounge up, but we're thinking about buying from scratch. So the plastic Viking Herdman box from Gripping Beast. So this has all your chainmail guys. And the Dark Age Warriors box has all your non-chainmail guys. So you can have Warriors and Hearthguard. And that gives you way more models than you'll ever need. But you can run Vikings, Anglo-Danes, probably Pagan Rus if you wanted, and Yams Vikings, any number of factions. So that's $61 US for 84 models. Now that's a pretty darn good price. The Victrix
Yeah.
Viking bag. So some people, I think probably most people do prefer the Victrix. I kind of have a soft spot for the GB stuffs, and they seem to be a little better on the durability side. That's $46 for 60 models, which is also plenty of models. And I think we got to acknowledge that this isn't just the cost for one army I've laid out, because if I can use Anglo-Danes, Yams Vikings, Pagan Rus, as this is really four armies for $46 or $61. Well, wouldn't you say, Monty?
Yeah, and I would also sneak in there another benefit, and I'm a metals person, but another benefit to plastics, and especially the Victrix plastic, is the enormous amount of bits and options. So
Yes.
when I do a project, I save the bits. And recently, I was doing a project. I was trying to do Goths, and I dug around in my bits box, and I grabbed all the Germanic heads and turned like these late Roman figures into a hairy goth German, wild hair looking bunch. And that cost me nothing because I had them sitting in reserve. So when you buy into plastics, and especially some of these Victrix kits, you're going to have so much stuff. So future projects, you can bash or change up or do something unique.
Absolutely. So yeah, well worth the value. Well worth picking these up. They're great for demo armies. And to go back to the kind of the multiple army things. So if we're thinking about the Dark Age, and this will vary age by age, but many of the combatants were using the same equipment, and the battle boards provide the different fighting styles and kind of flair that other games would represent with specific models with specific rules. So, we talk about kind of these Viking Age equipment type forces. I think another one would be the Welsh, Scots, and Irish factions could be interchangeable.
Yep.
I think, and we're just talking about Age of Vikings here, but it applies to the other ages as well. And I'll just quick talk about the Victrix Successor's Army, which I actually purchased. So I got 2 boxes of phalangites, whichever. They were just $25 for 27 models. And I got a Successor Cav box for $30. And there's 12 in there. So that's $80. And that is, I've got 4.5 points of warriors in phalanx and a unit of 6 Hearthguard. So again, I've got an entire army plus some. And I can use these phalangites as in the Macedonian army. So not just a Successor army. They're close enough. So Saga's great because unlike other historical games, right? We're okay with close enough.
Yes,
Wouldn't you say, Monty?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so latest development on that, I started chopping them off. We talked an episode or two ago about the Sarissa. So they wouldn't even fit in my bins that I use for army transport. So I'm like, well, I gotta chop these down. Then once I chopped them down, and I was going through stuff, I'm like, well, this is actually could work as the start of that Carthaginian army that I never really went anywhere, because I'm going to have the Cav for the Hearthguard Cat. That's similar enough. And then these, the phalangites with their spears, they're cut down about spear length, and they look very similar to the Punic, the Libyan infantry and the citizen infantry. I've got that Numidian bag that I picked up. I got those Gauls that you gave me, and I got a couple chariots from War Gods of Egyptus sitting in the bin. If I just can find some horses for those. Saga Storm is wide open, Monty. Don't know what the heck I'm doing, but it's the beauty of Saga and these kind of cross army troop types, which you'll find in many of the armies. It's not. It's pretty uncommon that you would be unable to use models. They would be so distinct in one faction that they couldn't go to at least one other faction or something like that. Would you say?
Agree. And first of all, I'd say you don't have to be nervous about it. Like jumping into this game, early days for me, I knew very little about the Dark Ages. But if you're nervous or anxious, you can ask. I see people do it all the time. They'll say, hey, I'm thinking of painting X. What if I do X, or what else can that play as? And people are happy to jump in and give you tips and tricks.
Absolutely. All right. So those are 2 that I've priced out. I've kind of covered some plastics. Now, Monty, I asked you to look into some metals for me. Which one do you want to do first?
Yeah, I'm going to start with footsore and just back up the bus just a little bit. So, in this wonderful world where we have choices, we have resin, we have the plastics, we have, Victrix is like amazing in this space, and then we have metals. I like the metals for durability since I sell everything I paint. When I put metals in a box, carefully wrap them, pack them, and ship them out, I don't worry about them getting busted up or spears snapping. So I do kind of lean towards the metals. And I would also say, as a metals person, I kind of like because I'm, old school that way. I like the heft, I like the weight. And it is kind of nice that when you get a nice box of clean metals, like you do just a tiny bit and then you stick them to your bases and you're priming. And like, boom, I save
Boom.
all the assembly time.
That's true. You
So
don't have to
efficiency,
glue
just
on
right, just for
their
me. And other
arms and
people
heads.
love that part. Other people love that part. They love the uniqueness, the kit bashing. But me, so I grabbed two. I priced out two of the more expensive metals you'll find, but they're also two of my favorite metal lines. They're really doing good work. So I'm going to start with Footsore. I'm going to give you a tip. If you're going to go buy from the Footsore website, and if you're going to buy and they're not having a sale, the best deal you can buy, and I kind of went through, I priced it different ways and then saw what the totals were. They have a pick your own 6-point warband. And after running all the
Oh,
different options,
cool.
the most expensive option is to buy four figures at a time. Then there's a better option where you buy them by point. And then the 6-point option gives you hand pick how you build your warband. So you get to pick levy or two levy or no levy. And you
Mm-hmm.
go in and you pick it. And then at the very end, they give you your Warlord and Bannerman for free, and then they give you 4 Hearthguard for free. So what I ended up paying out of the
Wow.
box for this, right, was $84 for 7 points of medals. And that 7 points was the Warlord and Bannerman, he's free, right? 12-foot Hearthguard, 24-foot Warriors with a mix of spears and hand weapons, and 12 levy bow. And I should go back one more step. I was pricing out the Picts/Scots warband, which, as you pointed out, they are visually indistinguishable. And here in their own website, they list them as Picts/Scots. I'd even add one more slash, Pict/Scots/Welsh. So you're kind of getting a 3 for
There you
1.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I especially like this one because painting this particular warband, Pict/Scots, means out of the box, depending if you like one of those worlds, if you like Age of Invasion, you've got Picts, which are a fun faction. And if you are doing Age of Vikings, Scots are another fun, solid faction. And so by painting one, you can now play in 2 different books. So not only just 2 warbands, but 2 different books, 2
Yeah.
different flavors,
Pretty
if you choose.
pretty different play styles is
Yes,
too if you mix in the Welsh. Yeah.
big time.
Between all three of those. Um, that's awesome. That came in. Yeah. I kept being surprised at the final numbers there. And so, I was expecting a bigger number there, but that's really cool. 84 bucks will get you started with 7 points of Pixar Scots at the Foot store.
Yep.
And, I'm sure the other ones are kind of similar to that. Um, let's jump to the resin stuff. So I priced out V&V Miniatures. So this is kind of more high end boutique
Yep.
boutique
Yep.
wargaming models, I would say. So they're priced out in groups of 4 or 8 generally, and they're excellent models. A huge number of my Heathens were from the V&V Miniatures store, and they are in Ukraine, and they're still producing those models. So definitely
Yeah.
support those guys if you can. But I was surprised at where this came out. So I priced out, just for simplicity, a Pagan Rus warband, because it was easy to do multiples of 4. So 12 Hearthguard, 24 Warriors is a good warband for that. And add a Warlord on top, and that came out to $138. So
That's good.
you get exactly, there's no extra models.
Yep.
You're getting exactly what you need for a 6-point army, and it's maybe 50% more than those already low prices. And it's still definitely not breaking the bank by any stretch when you think about other war games. But yeah, so that's kind of on the highest end there, I would say, is the V&V stuff. Now, you are a fan of Aventine
Yep.
miniatures as well, Monty.
Yes, I am.
What how do they fit into this pricing
I
matrix?
I think they're right in there with Footsore. They're going to be on a little bit on the higher side, but their quality is spectacular. They're one of the few model makers out there that I follow their Facebook page, and they recently announced that they were dropping a whole Italian what is it, ally Roman legionaries. And so basically, now imagine the Roman legionaries from the Republican Roman era
Mm-hmm.
with pectoral plates, and then with wild feathers out of those helmets, and they just look so awesome. I
Wow,
don't
cool.
need a Roman warband. I already painted and sold one, but I looked and I'm like, oh, I really want that.
Let's do it again.
That's pretty good, right? So, anyways, I priced them out. And just real quickly, what I did, they don't have any army deals. You're going to just go in and you're going to, you're going to buy what you need and a
Mm-hmm.
little more. So pricing it out, I did 1 point of Levy Javelin, so that was 12 figures. Now, because the way the Romans play, a little too much detail here, but they really want to run warrior heavy. That's how the Romans work. So I had to put in my cart 40 warrior figures.
All right.
Right? I did put in 8 Hearthguard, and we talked about going a little big, so I threw in an elephant too with a crew. So I went pretty big. I kind of blew the doors off, but with it all put together, I came in at $135. And
Okay.
trust me, when these come out of the box and you go to paint them, you're gonna just you will love them.
That's
You will.
huge. Yeah, that's actually a massive army you've gotten for yourself with plenty of options. So that is awesome. And yeah, the Aventines are great. The cover image for this, there's a plane flying outside. I don't know if you can hear that. So the cover image for this episode is actually your Aventine Cataphracts, the
Nice.
goth guys. So
Having for fun.
I had to use those. Those are awesome. So yeah, a little bit more, but I think you could have done. Yeah, if you don't include the elephant, that's gotta knock
Yeah,
20
that's
bucks
the
off.
elephant. You see, it was.
Okay.
If I could just like do one small thing from
Yeah.
like my own journey, like just
Yeah.
because it's like I've come full, from one side all the way to the other side. So in this hobby life, I should say even my real life, I am cheap. I am notoriously cheap, and I should be a little ashamed of it, but I've been cheap my whole life. So when I came to this hobby, I would always get excited, like when people are offloading miniatures, and so for the longest time, my projects were what did someone else slash and sell for like 50, 60, even 70% off? Did I want to paint it? I don't care. I'm painting it. Now that I've become, more seasoned, more experienced, I've been doing this for years. There came a point that one of my buddies were like, you should really, like he'd look at my painting and be like, you should really paint figures you want to paint. You should really paint like the beautiful figures, the nice stuff, the stuff that really grabs you. And that's where I've ended up. And I've taken like as best as I can my cheapness, and I've tried to push that down in a box and lock the box and put it away. And so it still bites me. It still gets around my neck, but I really have tried to like look at stuff and say, these are beautiful figures and this would be fun to paint, not just what is the cheapest, like how is the cheapest way. But I also respect, like, depending on your budget, like if that's where you need to start, secondhand and people unloading stuff is often like sometimes the best deal you can get, as long as you don't mind that you get whatever they've kind of cobbled together. You got to
Hmm.
work with it. So
Yeah.
that's me, long story short,
No.
that in our
Yeah.
hobby it's fun to paint, and don't be as cheap as Monty.
Well, yeah. I think what we're learning here is even the expensive stuff is pretty darn affordable. So you might
Right,
as well
right.
get what you can. I mean, if you can score a secondhand deal, you know, typically, it's 50 cents on the dollar or
Oh,
something. If
oh.
you're talking about these prices, you can get that Footsore army for like 40 bucks or something. Potentially, you find the right guy looking to unload that stuff,
Right.
which is amazing. Yeah, I picked up a whole Norman army for 30 bucks, for
Wow.
example.
Nice.
So,
Good score.
yeah, they're definitely the Saga deals are out there if you keep looking.
Yep.
The last one we're going to take a look at, it's kind of a two-parter, and that's the Reconquer Designs Muslims. So
Yep.
there's two different ways you can do it. You can buy them. So these are 3D prints, STL files, what have you. And there's more and more of these historical miniatures being created in the 3D printing space, and you're getting quite a few options out there, and that's part of why it's so enticing for me these days. But so you can partake in these even if you don't have a printer or don't really know anybody, because you can just buy these models off Etsy or possibly eBay, other places like that. So if I priced out a Muslim army, so I'm building the Mutatawiya, so I have 39 warriors. The unit comes in with 13 guys in it. A unit of camels and the heavy infantry, which could be up to 12 Hearthguard if you're so inclined, but they're badass, and that's how they come. So that comes out, if you were to get those at an Etsy shop, $142. Okay, so
That's a good deal. I've
yeah,
seen those figures. They're spectacular.
yeah, so definitely high quality. That's about probably eight or 9 points as how you slice it. So 142, definitely on the upper end of what we've been talking about, but still you're ending up with extra figures, and the quality is great. So that is if you use Etsy. If you were to print it yourself, if you had some kind of printer, which Monty, I've heard that the whole kit and caboodle setup can be had for under $300 now.
Wow, wow.
So if you were to get that set up, or you already had it, to get the STLs from My Mini Factory, and this is all the retail price on everything. You can be patrons and Patreon, get deals and stuff like that. It's 18 for the camels, 20 for the spearmen, 20 for the heavy infantry. So it's $58 for the STLs. And I guess the resin, I'm not an expert, but it's around 25 cents a model, maybe less than that, 15, 25 cents. So, could be, after your initial investment, it's pretty cheap.
Yep. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, yeah, if we add all these up, we, $61, 46, 80, 138, 84, 135. So the average kind of army, so we've kind of come out, more than 6 points generally for these starter armies, kind of around the 8 point range. So you have a few options, is around $93. Okay, between I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options that we've provided here for various armies. So if you are getting into it, we said about 25 for the original book, 50 for an age, 20 for some special Saga dice, it's 95, and then another 93 for your first army. So the official mathematical total is 95 plus 93. And can I do that in my head? 192, 193. I can't do it when I'm recording live here. 188. I was way off. Way off.
Yes. Close. Yeah, I mean that's pretty amazing, isn't it? And if I want to be careful here. Like I respect people have different hobbies, but I say this when I kind of hear these stories about what's happening in the other universe, where things like you have a thing and now you can't use a thing, or you have a thing and now you can't play that thing. I tell you what, you paint picks. 10 years from now, you'll be able to find a game system where you can play picks. 20 years from now, the picks will still be picks. Nobody's going to come down with an axe and say picks are out of the lore, and you can't play them.
Correct. In the worst case scenario, Saga's been deleted from the internet. Nobody can get them. You still have picks that you could use in any historical kind of game system, kind of dependent on the basis. But they'll always be what they'll be. And yeah, that's great point. The pace of Saga change is so slow that even there are changes now with the facts and stuff like that. And if you're one of those guys, you don't like when your stuff changes, but yeah, it's nothing compared to other game systems.
Right.
Money, just off the top of your head, since we didn't reference it, how much would it take to get into bolt action?
It will be more. You're making me work quick. but it's not going to be shockingly more because, oh man, it gets a little tricky. Where you're going to pick up your cost is the vehicles and the add-ons, the figures themselves. The army figures, your infantry are pretty vanilla, pretty low cost options. But when you get into specialty units and you get into your vehicles, you can pay a little bit. A tank can cost you $30 or $40 if it's, not a lot of people make it. But more than Saga, I'd say 1.5, by a factor 1.5. That's just kind of winging it.
Okay. So probably close to 300 if you're getting
Yeah,
all the,
yeah,
the starting materials.
yep.
And yeah, the other game I play is Infinity, and yeah, it's going to run you quite a bit more. The rules are free. You do have to make some tokens, or you could buy them. But they have these starter boxes. I'm looking at one right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10-ish models in there. That's not even. It's not enough to actually play as an actual full size army. Which is typically 15 models, and then you have some extra things. And the starting price on that is 220 euros. For a box that's maybe a half or 2/3 of what you actually need. And then, I'm sure I would love somebody to kind of do a 40K analysis of what we talked about. I mean, just the books alone, you got to buy a couple, and then the vehicles and we're talking $500 to $1,000 easily for that stuff. But, that's definitely the highest end. Most games, I would say, probably are a little bit more towards the bolt action or infinity range, in that 300 to 500 start. Discounting all those bundles of little skirmish games, Frostgrave and stuff, where you literally have like 5 or 10 guys.
Right.
Can't compete with those. We're an army game,
Right.
but yeah, I think overall the historical miniatures, the pricing on them is very reasonable, and what makes the game so darn cheap in our opinion. So that's about it. Is there any other costs to Saga? What's the hidden costs on the marriage, Monty?
No, not really. I mean,
Or is it saving it?
right? I was going to say yes, right? The footprint, because it's a skirmish game, is not bad. Like behind me, I really have a lot of stuff, and that's not very high up on the wall. My boxes of completed armies are maybe like at the 3 foot level. So, a whole army fits in one of these very useful boxes. And I don't know, it transports pretty well. Um, you know, yeah, I think on top of not being a big load or weight on your wallet, it's also not too much of a weight on your brain either. It's like it's not, you don't have to learn every army special rules. You just kind of work a universe, play your buddy stuff. You kind of pick up how the boards interact. Boom, you're set.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is like a time cost associated with, some people like building lists and like poring over the rules and looking for those discrepancies that weren't intended that you can exploit and go over that. But yeah, that load is pretty darn low with Saga. Mostly it, 10% of what Warhammer style, or especially Infinity. That's a big thing. Or agonizing over your lists and coming up with everything. So yeah, for some people that's a detraction, but I think it's a selling point for me. That low load, you can jump into the game and then jump out, and you come back a year later and you can pretty much just pick up where you left off. There's no major changes generally. So all right, well, that was a good discussion there, Monty. Thanks for your homework there, much appreciated. We are not done with this episode. However, Monty, did you know it's paint contest time already, dude?
I did not. Hooray.
Woohoo!
Yes.
All right. So, yes, it is paint contest time. So, when it went a month long to give people extra time to do the terrain. And after that, I had the Saga Thursday patrons vote on what they would like to see going forward. If they like the 2 months, if they like the 1 month, or you could do it 3 months. It is quarterly, so that would be the most. And they decided on 1 month increments. Okay.
Nice.
So I like that. Works out
Great.
good. We get a little pint contest that gives you a little ants in the pants to get it done, and then we get a little break from the paint contest instead of just always being paint contest time all the time. It's not special anymore if it's like that, is it? So for this one, we've been mixing it up this year. It's going to be I haven't 100% decided until this very point. So in 2023 so far, we've had Age of Antiquity unit previously and a terrain piece. Now, I think we've done this topic that I'm going to announce, but it hasn't been for a while, so whatever. So it's going to be a unit of Mercenaries.
Nice.
Or a monster from Age of Magic, or any unit from Age of Magic with the primitive rule, because the primitive units basically follow the same rules as Mercenaries. They cannot be activated by advanced Saga abilities, and they cannot trigger melee or shooting reaction Saga abilities, for example. So we're doing marks or primitive units from Age of Magic, because they don't have mercs anyways, so we want to include those. So the deadline for that is going to be July 30th.
Oh.
Okay, 2023. So plenty of time. Saga Thursday patrons always get a little head start there, but it should be enough time for you to acquire a mercenary unit, get them painted up. So the full rules will be posted below, but the gist of it is you need to take a before picture in front of the screen, and let's give them the thumbs down, Monty. The boos for the don't like it. The unpainted model's bad. All right, we got it. So take a picture before, and then paint the models, and then post it to the Saga Thursday Discord, where you will post a number of fancy painted pics. Say what the manufacturer is in your description, what unit it is and what the manufacturer is. So we've always talked about doing that. Finally remembered at this announcement portion. But yeah, we'll have the rules below. Me and Monty will pick our favorite. They'll win the Thirsty Thursday Pint glass. I'm actually drinking out of one right now. Monty, got one over there, buddy? Oh, there it is.
They're beautiful.
Refreshing.
Yep.
And but don't fret if you're not a great painter. One random winner will win a 25-pound gift certificate from Gripping Beast. All right, got to thank the Beast, always a supporter, giving us hope. If you're not a good painter, you can still you can still do it. You can still do it. Okay. So, looking forward to the paint contest entries. Yep. And what else do we have going on here? Saga Thursday Patreon account. Head on over there. Links below. Join the Heathen Army. You get a one-on-one chat with me. You get an extra video per month. You get the videos with no ads. You can get into some drawings depending on your level. You get to vote on stuff. If you think the 1 month paint contest deadline is phooey, well, you should have been a patron to get your voice heard. Gives you access to the Discord servers for patron-only channels. Gets you in on the Wednesday Whip Paint Club and the Warband Building Challenge. So if you're a fan, head on over, check it out. I really appreciate all that help. Otherwise, we mentioned the Discord server. We're up to 883 members, Monty.
Yeah.
That is banana. And it says here 153 online right now.
Wow.
When I took this screenshot. I think their definition of online is pretty loose, but yeah, still pretty cool. Lots of channels, lots of info there. And check it out if you haven't. A couple videos coming up, Monty, on what's the date for this next one? This is coming out on the 6th. So on the 13th, we've got a chat with Josh, who was running the Houston Saga League. And we're going to learn how to run a Saga League like a champ.
Oh,
so
awesome.
It's all about the league building and how it's going for those guys. It's got tips and tricks on how to grow that in your area. So that was a cool chat with Josh. And then after that, a week later, which would be the 20th, we have the Masters of the Under-Earth faction review. And that is with Nick Mahalis. So thanks to Nick.
Nice.
And that will actually be the conclusion of the Age of Magic factions. So we will have hit them all. So 5 of those will be on the channel. And then the 6th one was actually the Patreon video last month, is patrons only for Lords of the Wild faction reviews. So that's pretty cool. Another milestone. So we've done Vikings, Crusades, and now Magic. So that's officially, I think we mentioned 6 books. It's half of them, Monty.
That's amazing.
We're getting there. We're climbing out of that whole trough. But awesome. Well, I got to give a thank you to all the patrons out there. Terry, Patrick, Sean, Mitchell, and Scott. You guys are awesome. And the list goes on and on. And Monty, that includes you, buddy. Don't think I've forgotten.
Hearthguard, baby.
Yeah, Hearthy G's, get in the drawing. Yeah. So you can win a painted army by me. That's also something that can happen if you become a patron. I should probably mention that as a benefit. But all right. Comment below if you have any thoughts about the prices that we gave out, if you disagreed with anything that we said, if you thought we should have dove into terrain as well. I didn't touch on any of that, but should that be factored into the cost? I don't know. You be the judge of that and post below. But yeah, and if you actually recently acquired an army, post below with how much it cost specifically.
Nice. Yeah.
I promise, your wife's not going to see this. It's not going to be a problem. I won't throw you under the bus or anything. So, all right. Another good episode. Monty, thanks again, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys later.
Fun.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Saga! If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.